Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final week of our Starting and Growing a Home-Based Business series. Today, I'll be on the hot seat answering questions being asked by Mrs. Krista Idawu. As a screenwriter, producer, and love activist, Krista creates content that educates, entertains, and encourages empathy. Her work explores uncharted heart territories to express that which makes us uniquely individual, yet unites us at the core. Krista's artistic works include production and direction of a video for the AND campaign, production roles for Wells Fargo and the U.S. Navy, and consulting on a prudential-based content documentary that gained over 2 million views on YouTube. Krista desires her project impact to go deep as she continues to tell emotionally intelligent and heart-provoking stories that lead to tangible, lasting social change. Welcome, Krista, and thank you for agreeing to interview me.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be a part of this.
Great. So you can go ahead and take it away with the questions.
All right. Well, I think everyone here knows your story and your battle with the IRS and its difficult aftermath. But tell us your life philosophy now. Like, what have you gathered about life based upon what you've gone through?
One of the main things is to live. Many, including myself, were so caught up in career and other distractions that we ignored the things that were important, that were right in front of our faces, like family. My energy is now being directed to use on positive things like spending time with the family, helping other people, and other activities have to take a back seat. Now, sometimes they still try to overtake me, but I'm consistently having to scale back and learn the ministry of no and refuse to let the tyranny of the urgent take over and stop my purpose. For example, I get at least 200 emails a day, which includes the social media. So I have actually just had to stop opening up the messenger because most times those messages aren't for me, personally, they're just messages. So that has drastically reduced the time that I have on social media and the time that I'm using on something that's not being purposeful.
Sorry, I was on mute, but that's good. That's very wise. I totally understand because otherwise you'll just be trying to cross every T, dot every I, and do things that will mess with your productivity and keep you focused and busy on things that steal away your time. So that's very wise. I know that you have a mission to help people with their finances. Where did that passion come from?
Oh, okay. So I became aware of what I consider financial slavery sometime right after college. When I was graduating from college as a senior, I received a credit card, even at the dorm. So this credit card had a credit balance of $2,500. And, I was still ignorant, although I was an accounting major. So I said, okay, well, there are a lot of people that helped me through. And I started buying people gifts and stuff. And pretty soon that card got up to $2,500. And it was like, okay, I'm in this debt. Because when I graduated in undergrad, I didn't have much debt. I had my actual whole student loan was only $3,600. But that credit card taught me, hey, it's so easy to get into debt. And I saw, that in poor communities and middle-class communities also, there was financial illiteracy instead of financial literacy. And then on the other side, I saw how the wealthy people thrived. So I used my Spock logic. When I was in high school, my nickname was Spock. So I put all that Spock logic together to try to figure out what are they doing that we are not doing, or what are they doing differently? So aside from the fact that they have very close networks that they like to keep closed, I wanted to figure that out. So I started reading and finding out things, that kind of fact finding to see what they're doing. Instead of me doing things that poor and middle class people do a lot of times, like watch television. And my folks already know that I call it television the electronic income reducer. They watch TV, and I started to read and try to find out what I can do to make sure that myself and my family was not going to be stuck in financial slavery for the rest of our lives. So As I started to learn the easiest way to become wealthy, I started to implement and teach people these strategies. Even before I got into business for myself, I started to learn these things. And I like to share. I'm one of those social worker types. My mother was a social worker, and I said I'll never be a social worker, but deep down inside, I do want to help people. And so I started telling people what I learned, and people started implementing these things. And it really gives me joy. What really gives me joy is for somebody to come into me and say, oh, Sherry, I did those things that you said, and I just paid off my car, and now I'm saving money so I can, get some assets. So that's where it came from.
That's good. And based upon this answer and your previous answer, I see that there's like a connection between time and wealth.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there is, it's not more of a time, it's more strategy and education, because there are people that put together a strategy based on the education that they gave themselves, and they became millionaires overnight. I know at least 3 of them personally. So it's more putting that strategy, getting the education and putting that strategy together.
That's good. I want to get your take on all the social unrest that's taking place in the US right now. What do you see as the problem, and what do you see as the solution?
Okay, so I see a lot of miseducation and lack of education, and I see that as the problem. And education and use of common sense and common courtesy, I believe, is the solution. People have to realize that the powers that be have an agenda. They'll tell you one thing on television and social media, and then they're doing something totally different behind the scenes. For example, the Black Lives Matter movement, digging down into that, because I don't look at stuff on the surface. I'm one of those research persons, like, Spark Logic. Digging down into that and looking at the root of it, you'll see pure manipulation. Okay. The funding comes from one of the most evil men that I think is the most evil man in the world today. And there's 2 Black women that call themselves Marxists that are running this thing, and their objective appears to be to destroy the family. And most people in my circles know that the family is the basics, the foundation, the crux of our society. And if you destroy the family, you destroy the society. So although I'm not in agreement with all these killings by these so-called law enforcement people, we got to back up and say, who am I really representing if I'm out there on the streets, protesting? What is a better way to do this? And what I see is the better way to do this is to get some education, and specifically in the financial arena, because a lot of times it's not about race and it's not about party, it's about finances, because I know a lot of other, wealthy people, whatever their race is, they're not all into this. They're teaching their children at a young age, how to be entrepreneurs and how to deal with finances, so they won't have to deal with this. Teaching, those that want to learn, the ones that want to learn step by step, and taking them in the right direction. There's no excuses. I know too many people that grew up dirt poor that have made, themselves financially free. So there's no excuses about where you came from. I came from the ghetto and all this other stuff. You can't use that. People have to get beyond their circumstances. And I tell people that I learned is circumstances is when you're standing in a circle. So when you stand in your circle of sameness, then you get the same thing you always get. And the people that complain and don't move it on, and in other words, just go do it, then I don't have time to deal with that. But there's so many people now that see that there's something going on. They know, they feel that there's something going on. And they say, you know what, I want change. They need to be taught, Krista, that they have value. A lot of these, especially the young folks, I know I'm one of those old school people, but these young folks don't know they have value. And because they don't feel like they have value themselves, they don't value other people. And so that's why we get all this going on right now with the rioting and the people running lights. And that's one of my things that I notice all the time. When I'm at a red light, getting ready to go straight, left, or right, when my light turns red, not 1, not 2, but at least 3 or 4 cars are still going through on the red light. And so that's a sign that we have a problem. We have a disrespect problem. There's the people don't know who they are, and people don't know what they should be doing. And there's so much angry. I put out some Facebook videos about why people are angry. First, I said why poor people are angry, but it's not just poor people anymore. People are just angry because they realize that something bad is going on. And if they learn their value and they learn about finances and how to create a life for themselves, then I think this mob mentality thing will probably go away.
That's good. Oh man, you just unpacked a lot there. Oh, I took a parenting class today, and one of the things they talked about is that humans are born with a need for power, and because of it, people act out when they feel like their power is taken away. And when you think about Black people and young people, if you feel powerless, you get angry and you lash out. And so, like what you're doing right now with wealth empowerment and financial empowerment, that's power. That's a power that many of us never really had or knew that we had. Mm-hmm. And when we gain that knowledge, it helps us to not respond out of anger because that power is restored.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So on that same note, right now we're feeling powerless because the coronavirus is taking place and it's affecting all of us. What's your take on that?
Now, I don't want to make light of it. I know people are dying. I know many are sick, but the media and the powers that be are using this crisis to take huge power grabs, huge ones, even unconstitutional ones. It was Winston Churchill that said, never let a crisis go to waste. And that's exactly what happens when you get this situation. Even though that based on the World Health Organization, less than 3.5% of the global population with the virus has died, according to them. And then, but all of the statistics that I've seen are around 4 at the most. So 4% of the people, millions of people are starving. Krista, today I was almost in tears. I saw where the North Koreans are confiscating all of the wealthy people are able to have dogs. They're confiscating the dogs so they can eat the dogs. It's out there. I think I might have just put it on my Facebook page. There are people all over the world that are starving. Millions have lost their jobs. Even here in the United States, we've got over 50 million people that have applied for unemployment and more to come. And thousands of businesses have closed their doors. I heard that maybe about 30% of the restaurants so far will never open back up. They're closed and they'll never open. So what we're doing here is like 3.5% of the people are dying, yet millions are being affected by this. And there's evidence that this pandemic was planned as early as 2010 with the Rockefeller Foundation playbook, and that's out there online. That's been exposed, for everybody to research. And don't forget, they had the mock pandemic called Event 201 that was Bill Gates and the Rockefeller Foundation and some other hospitals and stuff. That was September of 2019, just a few months before this came out. So that my little brain says, okay, this all is not a coincidence. What are they doing? What's their end game? And I think it's control, just like you said, when people don't have power, there are also a lot of people that lust for great power. And the people that lust for great power are taking away the power from the smaller people. The crisis has polarized friends and family members. You got the maskers against the non-maskers, and it's causing people to do irrational stuff. Like one lady maced a couple. They were in the park, in the air. They were in the park, and this lady maced them because they didn't have on a mask. The wife had set up a nice little, like a basket for them to have their little lunch, and this lady came and she maced them because they didn't have on a mask. Stuff like that. And the people are doing irrational things. A church got burned down because the members decided that they were going to go, and then the next day the church was burned down. So this crisis has personally shown me several things: how fearful people can be. I did not realize how fearful. And when they get fearful and they get irrational and they get in lockstep with the government and, telling on people, somebody that they think might have COVID came out of their house, so they call the police. These are things that show that there's an agenda in place to take control, and especially in the United States, because we are one of the freest countries in the world. And I know it's always been their end game, when I mean the powers that be, to have control over us. And this is their chance, and they're taking large steps to do that. And one of the good things, though, one of the silver linings that I've seen a lot of families come together. And in a time like this, you got to come together. It's several have lost their jobs. I see, people have lost their apartments. They have to move in with family members, and grandma's helping more, and everybody helping each other. So that's one thing. And I'm hoping that it continues to bring the family closer together as opposed to tearing it apart. I think that we all need to take a deep breath and decide what's best for us and our families. Research the best solutions to keep your immune system built up. I mean, there are things that, there are doctors out there saying that, hey, I've treated hundreds of patients that had high blood pressure and diabetes and all that, and they're fine. We don't need to be waiting on somebody's vaccine, especially a vaccine with a chip in it. No. Well, the vaccines already have a real bad history with the polio and with the flu and all these things like that. So we have natural things that God put on this earth that cure us and heal us. So spend time researching those and keeping your body built up, your family's body built up. And this virus, Krista, is going to be around for a while. So people don't need to be waiting on an answer from the government. They need to take control for themselves.
Mm-hmm. I watched a seminar. I'm always watching seminars of a holistic pediatrician. Mm-hmm. And she said, it's not if, but when we get the coronavirus. And her logic is that we need to be prepared. We need to boost our immune systems and, make sure we're eating healthy and taking care of ourselves and our families, because we have to learn how to fight this thing off, because more than likely it's going to come close to home.
Right. And there are things out there. I mean, I have oregano bush in the front yard and the backyard, and I've learned from herbalists what I need to do to make sure that it's warded off. And if I feel like I've been around somebody that had it, then I know exactly what to do. There are too many regimens out there, and there's too much proof that people have come through it for me to sit there and wait on some vaccine or some government solution. The government is not my friend. But anyway.
Point taken. How have you been personally affected by the virus? And by the virus, and how has your business been affected by the virus?
Now, I like to travel. I had 6 trips canceled because of the virus. Even recently finding out that even if you're traveling to some states like Hawaii, you can't fly in without being quarantined for 14 days. So if you have a week-long vacation and you have to quarantine for 14 days, that's not adding up. So the U.S. is not welcome in a lot of countries. I had, Costa Rica was on there. And, I know that safety is the key, because I can understand these small countries not wanting a whole bunch of people flooding in that could have the virus, because their hospitals could not take the capacity that, a full-blown virus from people from other countries could take. But, since the virus is spreading, you just find the best ways to keep your immune system built up. As far as my business is concerned, I really miss doing the live seminars. I really do. I miss having the clients in person, because I'm an animated type person, and I like to talk, and that's hard. And I've lost some money not being able to do the larger seminars that I used to do. But I'm not going to make 6 figures this year probably, but I tell you what, I'm doing a lot of research and doing some other things to make that up, starting new streams of income. And I'll surely be ready to make up for that when we get done with this madness.
On that same note, what are some of the streams of income? What are some of the things that you've done or seen people do during this pandemic to make money quickly?
Millionaires are being made during this time. Okay. What people have been doing is starting their own thing. So I'm going to go down a list of general things, and I might say some of the specific things that they're doing. So in order for you to make money, those who save and hold their funds, they'll be able to take advantage of the deals that come up when people that didn't manage their finances that well lose their property. And it's not, it's just, that's just life. That's how capitalism works. During the Depression and during the 2008 situation, there were more millionaires made because people were in debt up to their ears. They had to get rid of stuff, and they had to get rid of it at lower prices, bargain basement prices. So, you had the pre-crisis prices, and then you have the post or during crisis prices, and those prices are usually lower. So, for example, I had some friends that had some property that they were saving for a house. They didn't know a crisis was coming. This was several years ago, back before the 2008. I think it was during the dot-com bust. They saved up a nice, decent down payment for a home, but then the economy crashed, and instead of getting like a 3-bedroom home for the same amount of money, they were able to get a 5-bedroom home with a large basement because they had enough saved up for that, and they're still in there. So that's a good thing. So saving and holding is going to help you out. Those that have assets that have a large sum of debt, they're going to need to get rid of some of that stuff. So, and if they can't get rid of it on their own, then the bank is going to foreclose it and take it back. And then you'll still have those bargain basement prices again. The way to get the money for the assets that you have, though, is to start a business. You need to start a business that adds value to the marketplace. I've premiered several types of businesses during this 12-week series that I did, starting and growing a home-based business. And there are so many ways that can bring income into the household right now. It's just about being creative. So that's the key, being creative.
I'm going a little out of order from my notes, but I'm flowing with the way you're going. What are some of the specific businesses that you've seen thrive during this time?
Okay, so when you create your own product, which takes a one-time effort, and sell the product to thousands of people or even millions of people, that is the fastest way to get financially free and thrive in this new economy. That's what I help clients do. I actually help clients start home-based businesses. We spend a lot of upfront time talking about the business, making sure it's something that's valuable in the marketplace. It can't be just something that you want to do. I have somebody that really, really loves to quilt, but Walmart and Target sell quilts, and that's not going to make you money. So that's an example, but that's the first thing. Selling other useful products made by other people is the next one. So selling products online. I've seen a lot of people making, $10,000, $20,000 a month online. I don't know if the people know what white labeling is, but that's when you take a product that's made by someone else and they allow you to put your name on it. So your whatever business name you have, you pay them for the right to use that product. And, there may be several businesses using that same product, but they all have different names. So white labeling is one of the things. So there are a lot of people doing that on Amazon and other sites. And that brings steady income because there are a whole lot of people out there that have a whole lot of needs. Like, for example, I sell my books on Amazon and they sell daily. I mean, sometimes even more than once a day, I get book sales. So that's regular income coming in. Early on in the pandemic, some fast moving people started buying up hand sanitizer and toilet tissue and all that stuff. And, everybody was scowling at them, but, they had the entrepreneurial spirit. They had that capitalist spirit, and they were able to sell that at a profit. So that's something. Also, people are starting to start service type businesses. That's the next fastest way. Service businesses, like I've seen many people, with the schools. So each state is a little different, but a lot of states have mandated that the children go online. But some parents have to work outside the home. So there are people that have stepped in, and especially if they have educational experience, they may not be teaching now, they may be retired, but they've stepped in to start doing education and, related products and tutoring and those kinds of things are taken off because many parents, they just can't take part in that education. Now, every child is not cut out for online. I have one of those grandchildren that she needs to be face to face with the teacher. So, but the bottom line is the parents are willing to pay their weight in silver or gold to make sure that their children don't fall through the cracks this year, don't fall behind this year. So one of the biggest areas would be that education. Now, some of the specific businesses, there's this business that, and what I'm going to do when I'm going to put a PDF of some specific businesses that I've seen. I'm going to put that PDF, but there's this business that I heard about called Dumpling, and it actually helps you become your own grocery delivery person. So instead of you doing it for Uber Eats or those other ones out there, Grubhub, then they put you in your own business, and I've heard that it works out very well. At some point during this time, I had some groceries delivered from Sprouts, and the lady came. She was very nice, and had the groceries and basically dropped them off, and I gave her tips. So somebody like that, then she probably has a lot of likes, so she could actually branch off and do her own business. Of course, the mask makers are making a lot of money. The fancier the mask, the more money you can take. Let's see. My family's joined up with Forex trading. Now that's something. I don't do stock market, but Forex is where you make money. You can make money just all the time, 24/7. When currencies go up and down, I don't know if people know a lot about Forex trading, but it's based on currency trading. So currencies go up and down every day. I have a company that I'm involved with that's in Germany. So I get paid from that particular stream of income in euros. So I have to do, it converts, and sometimes it's up, and sometimes I hold the money there until it goes up. So Forex is really good. And we've gotten involved with the Forex networking company that is helping us all learn how to trade and learn how to make money there. Cleaning services. Now everybody's become germophobic now. And so there are cleaning companies out there that have started up, or they've done a pivot because they were doing some kind of cleaning anyway, but they're moving to the organic cleaning substances instead of the Clorox, and because those are toxic. So the cleaning companies that are making it are the ones that are child safe, animal safe, and use organic products to clean the homes and buildings. These businesses are growing by leaps and bounds because every business is trying to show that they're clean, especially the hotels. Who wants to stay in a hotel bed these days? Like, yuck. But if the hotel can show that they're clean, then they're going to get more business than the one that doesn't have that. Another one is meal preparation, especially for those that are vegan and vegetarian. Those services, the packaged meals that they send out, and all you have to do is put it together, because there are so many people that are working from home and they can't go out. So whatever break they have during the day, they can go and put something together, and then for dinner they can put something together. So meal prep businesses is another one. Online tutoring and teaching for not only the younger people, but the high school people and even the students. Online fitness is making it big. I don't know if you heard that companies are selling out of the exercise equipment, the bikes. You can't find bikes. You can't find treadmills and all that because people have abandoned the gyms, because gyms. And so they've abandoned the gyms, and they've started actually spending a lot of time at home. I have a gym set up in the garage. So I have my rebounder, I have my weights, I have my step machine. And when it rains, I do have a treadmill in the house. But for others, online, having somebody that you can do it with, especially if you're not disciplined, you have online training from somebody. And last but not least, believe it or not, selling products that help with intimacy are a big hit right now. It's so funny because on the one hand, sales of personal hygiene products like deodorant have tanked. I thought it was hilarious. Deodorant has tanked. However, sales of products that help men, especially older men, get back into their stride are climbing because people are stuck at home. And you know what happens when people are stuck at home. So, like I said, I'll provide a list of some of the things that I found for everybody later. But the bottom line in that is there are ways to thrive in this new economy. If you want to do it, you've got to put your mind to it. You got to come up with a strategy. and just get it done.
It's exciting to know that we can thrive in the midst of this chaos.
Yeah.
And it looks like our economy is changing, business is changing, we have to become more strategic. It's like everyone has to be an entrepreneur now.
Right, right.
What do you see, like, since everything's changing now, our economy is changing, what do you see as the biggest threat to this changing economy?
What do I see is the biggest threat? The U.S. relations with China are crumbling right now like a broken cookie. I don't know if people are paying attention. I pay attention to stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
As we speak, they are just deteriorating. Now, I don't know if people understand that China owns over $1 trillion in U.S. debt. And I don't want to get into a lot of detail on it because it's kind of complicated, but we owe China over $1 trillion, more than any other country. And if they decide to cash out, then our economy is going to implode. Right now, the dollar is the world's reserve currency. That means that if a country, let's say Italy, wants to do a trade with Zimbabwe, they would have to take their currencies and change them for US dollars. So if that is no longer the case, if something happens where the US dollar is no longer the reserve currency, then we will see unprecedented economic collapse. We need to get in position to make ourselves debt-free, personally getting out of debt, and we need to be as self-sustaining as possible, getting our own food sources, getting water sources, and building hard assets. As far as food is concerned, getting a garden. I have two large beds and one small bed in the backyard. I have to do a tomato run every few days because the tomatoes are, and some I've had to give away because I don't eat them that much. And there's certain people that I give them to, like Auntie Shirley. But then I have sweet potatoes that are coming up. We did kale. We did just a lot of stuff. So that's one way to put a garden out. And even if you live in an apartment, I've seen in stores these devices or things that have been constructed to where you can actually have a garden inside. So if you have a small garden outside, that's doable. If you can have a garden inside, you have to buy these little lights and you can actually grow food inside. So these are things that we need to do, because with the economy as bad as it is, and with the U.S. and China relations kind of deteriorating, it's a concern.
Yeah. You mentioned hard assets. What are hard assets and what's important about them, and how can we acquire them?
Okay, hard assets are assets that won't disappear in the blink of an eye.
Okay.
They are not stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and stuff like that are easily manipulated.
Okay.
In September of 2008, the stock market went down 777.68 points in one day, and Americans lost $10 trillion in savings. It did not just disappear. It went from the poor and the middle class people who were counting on the IRAs and all that, to the ultra wealthy and the banksters and the big companies that couldn't fail. People got golden parachutes out of the wazoo. It was crazy. So a lot of people learned from that lesson and they started getting hard assets. So there's still a lot of people stuck. Like today, you could have $500,000 in an IRA or your company went okay, and tomorrow, just like that, it could be 100,000 or 50,000. So hard assets are silver, gold, profitable real estate, inventions and intellectual property. So those are examples of hard assets. To acquire hard assets, you have to save and invest in yourself, that education, first of all.
Yeah. And
you have to create and problem solve. So saving, investing in yourself, being creative, like starting businesses, and you have to learn how to solve a problem. Because when you solve a problem in society, then they're going to pay you for it. So then once you start getting paid, you use those resources to buy more hard assets. For example, I started buying gold in 2002. Gold was $313 an ounce. This week is over $2,000 an ounce.
Wow.
And silver is going that same route. The value of gold has been around as a medium of exchange for over 5,000 years. So what I want to do right now is continue to save gold. And one of the wealthy people that I listened to, there were two wealthy people having an interview. And one of them said, how long are you going to hold onto your gold? Are you going to start selling your gold? He says, no. And I was busy listening to this, and I was doing something else, but it stopped me in my tracks. It was a video, and I had to rewind it. What he said is, no, I'm going to hold on to my gold until 1 acre of land is equivalent to 1 ounce of gold.
Wow.
And I'm going to start getting rid of my gold. And I was like, oh my goodness. So yes, buying hard assets. Yeah, that's what we need to do. That's what they are.
Do you think, like, with our failing economy and with everything that's happening, even with our debt to China, do you think that would affect the value of gold or silver?
It hasn't over years. The 1 ounce of gold back in Roman days would buy you a nice pair of shoes and a toga. An ounce of gold right now will buy you an Italian suit and some nice shoes. So gold's value doesn't change.
Oh, wow.
That's why it's so important. And that's why countries like Russia and India are just, they're just gobbling up all the gold, because gold is limited, right? And then some of these countries are banning their people from having gold. And I read an article not too long ago about somebody got arrested at the airport because they were trying to smuggle gold in their private parts. That's how desperate these people are to get gold. So yeah.
Wow. Didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned real estate as well as one of the hard assets. Tell me about your interest in real estate as a hard asset and your take on the best way to get it.
Okay, so I attended Tuskegee Institute. I'm dating myself. My freshman year in college, and there I was taught that land is the basis for all independence. If you don't own it, you don't have buy-in. I notice a lot of times when I'm in neighborhoods that have owners and renters, often the renters have unkempt yards, trash is left outside on the street for days. The green garbage can, in our case, in our county, green garbage cans out there for days before they get it. Then right next door, you could have the perfectly manicured lawn. So, that's the owner and that's the renter. I know that many millionaires have lots of real estate, like, for example, Robert Kiyosaki. People that have properties without a mortgage are the ones that are going to survive this pandemic. They're collecting rent, and they may not be getting rent from everybody, because some people aren't paying and some people aren't able to pay. But their only expenses, like property taxes and maybe some utilities, versus the people who went and got a whole bunch of real estate, but it has big mortgages on it. Those are the ones that are going to lose all that. And then the people that are saving and holding, those are the ones that are going to get that real estate. So I read and watched wealthy people, and I try to do the things that they do. I have property in 2 different counties in Georgia, and I have 2 properties in Costa Rica. None of them have a mortgage on them, except for the one I'm living in right now. And guess what I just did? I just converted my basement into a basement apartment. So guess what? I'll have the person downstairs is going to be paying the whole mortgage and some.
Wow.
So these are things that just, and just to throw a plug in, people, people may not want people in their homes. I understand that. But one of the easiest ways, because people are about to start losing their homes and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And they're going to have a place to stay. Now, you don't want somebody who was let me rephrase that. You don't want somebody that wasn't paying their rent where they were.
Yeah.
So I am using a property manager to have distance there. So the person that lives down there won't necessarily know I'm the owner. And since I have other companies, then that person's going to be paying one of the other companies. But that person is going to pay this mortgage. And, although this house has a mortgage on it, by the end of 2021, I plan on it being paid off, mostly with passive income, because I have other passive income sources coming in. So just like wealthy people, I have learned that not only do you have to have hard assets, you really have to have real estate, because the real estate gives you access to having, you plant a flag in other countries. So when, and this is the way I say it, when the excrement hits the portable cooling device in the United States, and presumably you have a place that you can go and you can, watch and chill. Now that's not really working right now because of Corona. Nobody wants us, but you know what I mean. The Bible tells us to diversify and not put all your eggs in one basket. So during, barring the pandemic, once I obtained my residency, like in Costa Rica, I have a warm place to live. I won't starve to death because there's food on all the trees. And, I have a place with stuff growing all around. It's important for everyone that wants financial freedom to not depend on the government, the corporations, or the banksters to thrive. We have to depend on what's up here and pull ourselves together. So to get hard assets, you have to have a plan. Remember that strategic planning. I got accolades for being able to do that, throughout my life. I've been a strategic planner because that's how I was taught by my parents. But you need to make more money than you spend.
Yes.
And you need to make money faster than you spend it. I'm going to say that again. You need to make more money than you spend, and you need to make money faster than you spend it. If you do borrow money, it needs to be used for something that's going to make money. For example, if you're going to refinance the house, it needs to be used for something that's going to make money, like to fix up the basement so that somebody can live down there and pay for your house note. So, so borrowing is okay, but not to go and get a new car so you can style and profile and have this $500 or $600 car note that's going to get repossessed if you lose your job. So then you need to find logical real estate choices that fit your lifestyle. So when you have a pool of funds, you can pool it with family to get something that you like. And that's called a joint venture. I teach about joint venture. So if you've got this building that looks like it would be a good deal, but it's $100,000, you can get 10 people together that have $10,000, or you can get 5 people that have 20, whatever, and you can form a joint venture and get those properties. So that's a way to do that. In choosing real estate, it's an art, and you don't just go get something because it's cheap. You have to figure out, is that going to bring you in income? I used to tell people used to ask me, so if you were going to buy some real estate in the United States, what would you buy? I would buy a piece of property near, and this is before the virus, near a college or university, because that was going to get rented out. Or I would get a building that was going to be a daycare that was near a neighborhood that had houses that were $300,000 or more.
Okay.
These days, what I would do if I was going to buy a property in the United States is I would buy a property near a residential assisted living area. So if you have you've got these big assisted living companies, right? I would get a house near one of those and transfer it into a residential assisted living place, because there are, I think I heard, and this number might not be right, there's 50,000 baby boomers retiring every day.
Wow.
These people have pensions and they have, Social Security, whatever. And so there are people making a ton of money taking homes, getting them converted into residential assisted living. Wow. And having 3, 4, 5, 6 people in that home. Now you do have expenses, like you got to pay somebody to care for them, and maybe you got to have a nurse and all that. But the money that they're making is phenomenal. So that's another piece of hard asset. So
that's very smart. What's the most important thing that people can do now to shore up their lives?
Okay, during this time, I would say get in balance. Eliminate TV. There's no need for us to be sitting up there looking at reruns of football and reruns of, and I say this and I say it jokingly, but I'm not been a sports person, but there are a lot of people, women and men, that look at sports and until Tom Brady started stroking me a check, my team is the Jackson team. So that's how we need to make it. And eliminating television. Build a library of books that will challenge you and change you. They need to challenge you, and they need to change your life positively. So that could be financial books, that could be spiritual books, but whatever it is, let it be something that's going to uplift you instead of keeping you in that circle of sameness. Girl, did you see Scandal last night? Honey child, that kind of thing. We got to stop that. We got to spend more time with family, talking to each other, eating dinner together. Figure out who your children are. You know, some people are just now learning really who their children are. That's really interesting. Spend more time with the family, start a family business. And get the children involved. The Jewish people, those kids go through Hebrew school. And I know some of them, and at 13 years old, they know more than college students know. At 8 years old, they know more than high school kids know. And we need to just make sure our children know how to deal with finances. In our county, they're still not teaching kids how to deal with finances. Wow. They don't know how to balance a checkbook. They don't know how to deal with finance. And that's by design. The kids need to know that because all they feel like is, my parents have money, I get, and then they get out there and they get strapped in debt. First of all, with student loans, which by the way, I think college is a waste of time unless you're going to be something that needs a license like a doctor, a lawyer, or a CPA. Otherwise, go start a business, learn how to start a business or get a trade. Because I know college students at the bank with a master's degree working as a teller just right next to somebody that has a high school diploma.
Yeah,
that's what's going on right now. Eliminate unnecessary expenses and save for hard assets. So these are things that we need to do. But that balance thing is so important because my life has been out of balance a lot. And on September 7th, I think that's a Monday, we're going to start a new series called the 10 Life Values Home-Based Business Series. Now, this series is about balancing your whole life and making sure that every area is healthy. So there's 10 areas we're going to talk about. And although we're going to approach the series from a business standpoint, it's going to help your entire life. Your approach to life is going to change like mine has. I have more balance now, which has helped me improve my health, which I, have very few health challenges now because I have time to learn about how to keep my health up, and taught me to eliminate stress, which stress causes a lot of our body breakdown. I really should have done this series first before starting and running a home-based business, but I didn't. But it's going to help everybody get well balanced. Just have a balance in your life. And then when you have balance in your life, you have a prosperous business.
That's really helpful. And this conversation tonight has been very helpful. I feel like I need to go back and rewatch it and take some more notes because even for me, it's been challenging and it makes me want to make the most out of my life. And in all areas of life, like you're saying, eliminating the TV, like some days it's like productive, and other days it's like binge watch, I'm tired. But life is what you make. Life is what you make it. Like your success, like you're saying about people who grow up in different economic backgrounds, we have to make the most out of our lives. It's not up to anyone else really but us to get our act together and plant the seeds now so that we can play later.
Yes. Right.
So I really
There's something out there that says do like nobody else, so that live like nobody else, so that later you can live like nobody else.
Yes, exactly. It takes discipline. It takes discipline to be able to do that, to invest the time now, because it's easy during this pandemic to just couch it up. Yes. But this is the time to be planting seeds physically and spiritually, economically, for your business, for your career. This is a seed. It's a very ripe seed planting time. Yeah. And so many things can distract us and become those weeds, so that when the excrement hits the
cooling device, yes,
the excrement hits the cooling device, we're like, where did our life go? So these tips that you gave us tonight are very helpful, and I truly appreciate it. Thank you for sharing. Are there any other final thoughts that you want to leave with us?
Mm-hmm. Well, I have an assignment to help people thrive instead of just surviving day to day. It's possible to achieve, and everybody out there knows it's possible. We've seen so many people just come up from nothing, and we shouldn't be hating on them. We should be trying to figure out what they did, and it's something that's doable. What's stopping you is the question. If you need help, reach out to me. My email is sherrypeeljackson@gmail.com. I always say that life begins at the end of your comfort zone. We need to come out of those comfort zones. We need to thrive.
Yes.
I don't want to see people, just in the grind, and then, they come home and sleep and they get back in the grind, and that's depressing. And I don't want people to be depressed. So, this is your chance, and only you can make it happen. Only you can make it happen.
That's good. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Krista, for coming on and putting me on the hot seat here. And I really enjoyed the interview. Wanted to kind of get a wrap up of our first series. We'll have lots more series to come. I have some goodies in the next series. We have some workbooks and some things, but I always ask the other person, and now I'm the interviewee, but but I want to ask you this question, when I ask everybody else that I've been on with, if money was not an issue, where would you go to take a nice vacation, and why?
The first place that came to my mind was South Africa.
Okay.
I've always wanted to go to South Africa, and of course I have a connection to Africa. My husband's Nigerian, my child is Nigerian. I've been to Nigeria, but I've always wanted to go to South Africa, and I feel like it's a beautiful place, and it's a place that has the best of both worlds. Like you can go down the street and you are in like village, and then you go down the other street and it feels like you're in America. So you sort of have the best of both worlds, and I think it'll be a fun place to go and sort of reconnect with my roots. And I might actually want to move there if it works out.
Good. I actually did go to South Africa, and it was a very, very good experience. We went to one tour that had 7 villages, just it was a tour, but it showed all these 7 villages, and there were 6 of us that were from Black and from the United States, and there were a whole lot of other people showing up at the same time because the tour started at the same time. And the guy looked over at us, get out of this van, all these Black people. He said, "Welcome home," and I said, "Yes." But it was nice. It was nice. But South Africa is really beautiful. There's some sad things, like Soweto made me cry.
Yeah,
it really did. But anyway, I really, really, really appreciate you coming on, doing this interview. I so enjoyed it. And, I will, get your information out there if you want it, so that the people can contact you if they have some projects that they want to do, filming projects or whatnot, so that they'll know. And they usually do contact me and say, "Hey, what's the young lady's name and how to get in touch with her?" So, I wish you blessings in what you're doing, and continue to do what you're doing, because bringing people together, we need that right now.
Thank you. Yeah, we do.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.